Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to start a series on relationships and dating. I'll just interweave this into my health and fitness content. And today I wanted to talk about Christian dating and the concept that everybody settles. And I know this is a super unpopular opinion, so watch the whole thing before you get your panties in a bunch, please, because I know that hearing that right off the bat is probably a little bit jarring. But yes, I believe that everybody settles. So let me explain to you what that means to me and then like what it doesn't mean, because I have a feeling that some people think it means that they just picked a random man off of the garbage truck, as I used to say, and decided to marry him. So I do think that everybody settles to a degree when they get married. I think this is more so the case now than it was, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So with the advent of online dating and social media and being able to view everybody's lives and being able to, sort of like be surveyors of what we think are perfect relationships, I think in everybody's mind, they have to settle because no one seems to match what they've seen out there in the world with other people's husbands and other people's relationships. So in that sense, I think everyone has to settle. And I think that's more of a false settling than the true sense of the word settle. But I do think that you do have to settle in that sense. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but the perfect man does not exist. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've noticed that, the women that I've spoken to, the young girls, young women, I'm a little bit older than I look, have asked me about dating and relationships. And, they're looking at a relationship that has been happening for 18, 19 years and wanting that in a man right now. And unfortunately, that's simply not going to happen unless that man has already been married before and has done some serious work on himself. So let's talk about what I think it means for that everyone settles. The first thing is that everyone settles for something in a relationship, okay? Because the perfect man does not exist, everyone settles. That means, does he snore? Does he take up the bed at night? Does he, not know how to cook? Does he need help, organizing? Like whatever it is, there is something about your spouse that is not going to be perfect. And so in that sense, everyone settles. And the reality is that you have to decide what's on your list that you're willing to settle with. Because this idea that you're going to get every single thing that you wanted in a person is rooted in a falsehood that there are perfect people out there. Okay. So what I tell the young girls and the young women who ask me this is that I tell them that they need to figure out what's really, really important to them. What is going to matter 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and 20 years from now, and think about what will that matter in your relationship later on. Because if that's something that you can't live with, then you need to put that on your what matters list. There are going to be things that you settle with. Like, do you care about the way he dresses? Like, I'm sorry, but that was not on my list. Like, I don't need you to dress like, out of a GQ magazine. I simply don't need it. A little secret, ladies, like you can just change the way a man dresses. Like that is not the thing that you need to be worried about. But everyone settles. Everybody settles. And so one of the reasons why women struggle with dating and getting married is that we're sometimes looking for someone who doesn't have a thing that we have to settle for. And that causes us to like stay on the dating app and the dating loop and the matchmaker loop and all of that. And you really have to narrow down what is it that's important and then what am I willing to settle for? Like, I'm not settling for someone who doesn't have ambition. I'm not settling for someone who doesn't work out. I'm not sorry. To me, those are things that I'm not willing to deal with. I can deal with it if you don't cook because I don't want you cooking anyway because I want to cook my own food. I'm just a control freak in that way, right? Like if you want to cook me, okay, let me get it right. My husband cooks sometimes, but I don't need him to be a Michelin star chef because I like to cook myself, right? But I do need him to be someone who is not conflict avoidant, someone who knows how to talk through issues, someone who's committed to growth, someone who's committed to developing a healthy relationship, and who's committed to leading a family, someone who shows integrity. Like, those are the things that I'm interested in. Do you have to be attracted to your husband? You should be, 100%. You 100% should be. I do not believe in settling for someone's looks. Now, I made a video like a year ago called "You Need to Change What You're Attracted to." So if you are attracted to men who do not have healthy qualities, then you need to change need to work on being attracted to healthier men. Because oftentimes, like, what we find to be, like, I don't find swagger, I guess is the word, to be attractive. I don't find that to be attractive in grown men, because I feel like swagger is a way to garner attention. And if you want all the attention on you, then you likely have some feminine traits that I'm not into. That was not a comment on anybody's sexuality. Like, genuinely, like, you have some feminine traits that need to be addressed. Like, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be married to a man who wants to be the center of attention. That is strange to me. And that if you're, like, people who are driving all these flashy cars and everything's, every article of clothing is $1,000, that's a no for me. Because also, like, where's your money going? Like, do you have a savings? You know what I mean? Like, are you someone who is good with money? So those are things that you have to think about when you're thinking about, whether or not you're attracted to somebody. Am I attracted to healthy people? And I had to do a lot of work around what it means to be attracted to someone healthy. Like, you need to be attracted to people who are attracted to you. Healthy people who are attracted to you. We're not chasing. If you have to chase a man around, like, he's probably not it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to run around chasing a man so that I can get married to him. That's very weird to me. So changing who you're attracted to might help with that. And I mean, in a healthy way. So, like, you need to get with, like, a therapist about that. So when I say that everybody settles for something. It just depends on what you think are redeemable qualities and what are not. Now, what I don't think you should settle on is, if you are someone who is hell-bent on being a stay-at-home mom and never working a day in your life, then you need to make sure that you are with someone who is going to do that for you. If you're, and I mean, like, literally never working, like, you don't want to do an online business, you don't want a side hustle, like, you need to figure that out. I do not think that you should settle on dating a masculine man. Like, for me, that's a thing that I'm not, those are one of my non-negotiables. I don't think you should settle for men who have sordid pasts or sordid histories with infidelity. And the reason is because it's really hard to change someone who is like that, unless they've had some, like, outstanding, amazing spiritual transformation. It's very difficult, very, very difficult to change that. So I don't think you should settle for that. I don't think you should settle for someone who doesn't have the same values as you, right? So the things that people are settling for are physical things, almost like, oh, the way he dresses, maybe, yeah, his teeth are not exactly straight. Or maybe, like I said, he doesn't cook, or, he snores. Like, everybody's going to settle for some sort of thing, but they should not settle for the things that matter. And that is the values. And I can tell you that money is important to some degree, but it's not the most important thing. Oftentimes, if men are in a healthy relationship with women, with a healthy woman, they will make more money purely because you inspire him to do so. So say, like, when I hear women say things like, he has to make like 8 figures, like he needs to make $500,000 a year. I'm like, that's maybe if he's like 50 and like has already been in business for a long time. But to me, that's kind of silly to expect that, because that's a very small percentage of the population anyway. And so you will be filtering through lots of people. And sometimes those people who make that kind of money, number one, are not very attractive. Number two, don't have the same values as you. And number three, are not interested in getting married because they'd rather just have harems of women around them. So you have to kind of get really deep and granular about what is really important to you around money. Is it that you think $500,000 is going to be the thing that's going to make your relationship stable financially? Okay, maybe that's not exactly what you need. Or, if you're someone who makes a lot of money and your lifestyle requires a certain level, okay, maybe you need to think about switching your business to something at home or something that doesn't require you to leave. Or you have to think about the fact, like, am I okay if he's close to my income, but not, super close? It's a toss up. But the reality is that you're never going to find someone who fits every single thing that you like. That is why there is this phrase out there where they say that a lot of people will leave their 90% man for 10% of what he is. So in other words, a man will have 90% of what a woman wants. And that 10% is something frivolous, maybe something that's not so important, but she'll go after the guy who has that 10% because the 90% isn't enough. And what I would say to that is, I think that 10% needs to be included in your 90%, and you need to take a 10% out from somewhere else. So then don't get in relationships or marry men who don't have the 90% that you value. So figure out what is the 90% that you need, and then go from there, versus thinking that you're going to find 100% of every single thing and never get annoyed with this person, and this person is never going to bother me, and this person's always going to do exactly what I want and always exactly what I say, and they're going to read my mind perfectly, and we're going to have a perfect relationship off the bat. What you're seeing online is years and years and years of communication and work. And if you pick someone who is willing to do that, then you will have that in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Hands down. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this installment. Next, I'm going to be talking about Love is Blind and the lessons we can learn from some of the Love is Blind characters. I call them characters because I feel like they were not there for reality. They were there for clout. So we're going to be talking about Love is Blind in the next installment of this. And I think that's going to come out next week. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.